Hey there, Scout Campers, it's Scouty Steve here, and today I'm going to be going with you guys one of the most important skills a scout can know is tying knots with rope. Now, the Greeks had an ancient story about the Gordian knot. So the kingdom of Phrygia, they were without a king, but it was decreed that the next man who drove into their kingdom with an ox cart would become their next king. Now, shortly after, a peasant named Gordius came into the kingdom and he was decreed their king. Now, Gordius' son Midas, out of thankfulness, donated their ox cart and tied it to a post with an impossible knot, which became the Gordian knot. Now, shortly after, several years later, the kingdom of Phrygia was now owned by the Persian Empire, and Alexander the Great of Macedon, an ancient Greek king, came and tried to untie the knot. Now, to much avail, it was very hard for him to untie the knot. He tried very hard, but it just was very tight, and he wasn't able to untie it. Now, he finally figured out that if he was able to untie it, he would become the king of Asia. But what he ended up doing, since he wasn't able to untie it, he cut the knot with his sword. Now, I'm not going to teach you guys how to tie an impossible knot like the Gordian knot, but I will be teaching you how to tie 4 of the most important knots you need to know in scouting: the square knot, the bow line, the 2 half hitches, and the taut line hitch. Now, I'll be back in just a minute, and I'll show you guys how to tie the square knot. So the first knot I'm going to teach you guys is known as the square knot. It also has the term reef knot, and the ancient Greeks actually called it the Hercules knot. So the square knot is mainly used to tie other ropes together, or as just a joiner's knot to hold stuff secure. So I'll tie it quickly just so you guys see how to tie it, and then I'll go over the steps on how to actually tie the square knot. So just quickly, so I'll use 2 separate pieces of rope. And simple as that, that's a square knot. So you'll know if you've tied a square knot properly if you can easily slide the 2 pieces of rope back and forth. They sort of make 2 loops on each other. So a square knot, so you start with your right side of the piece of rope and you place it over the left rope. Then you curl the right side of the rope under. So right over left. Then you take your now new left piece of rope. You place it over the new right, like so. And then you just fold it under. As you can see, you can slide the knot back and forth easily with the 2 pieces of rope. And a term that people use a lot to easily tie the square knot is right over left, left over right. Now, an error that people can end up doing with the square knot, which you'll know if you tied it improperly, do this. So if you accidentally do right over right, or left over right, left over right. So if you accidentally do the same thing twice, so I did right over right, I do right over right again, it'll sort of look weird like this, folded in around itself. This is known as a granny knot. It's not a proper knot, a proper way to tie a square knot. Yeah, if you can't slide it back and forth, you know you tied the square knot improperly. So I'll just go over again one more time how to tie the square knot. So again, take the right side of the rope, right over left, fold it under. You take the left end of the rope right here, place it over the right, right over left, left over right, and fold it through. And that is a square knot. So the next knot I'm going to teach you guys is the bowline knot. So the bowline knot forms a loop that will not slip at all. That's just what you want for tying a rope around your waist, or it's a perfect knot for rescuing someone if you're doing a water rescue or helping save someone if they got injured in a hard-to-reach place. A bowline knot is very helpful, specifically in rescues. It's also works very well to secure guidelines through grommets, which are little round metal loops on tarps, if you want to set up a tent or a dining fly. It's also really easy to untie. So like before, I'll tie the knot just so you guys can see what it looks like and how it's done quickly, and then I'll just go over the steps on how to properly tie the knot. And like that, that is the bowline knot. So this is one piece of rope. And it forms, you can do it as small as or large as you want it, but it can form a loop like that. So I'll just go ahead and easily untie the bowline knot. So when tying the knot, again, you can make the loop as large or small as you want it. It's preference or whatever you're using the knot for. So you always take the left side of the rope, the left end of the rope, and make sure to make a loop. But you always want to make sure that this part of the rope, the end is under the loop. So it goes over and then under. Otherwise, you'll be able to tie the knot incorrectly and it won't come out right. So you take the right end of the rope, you put it under and through the loop. You take the right end of the rope and then put it around the left end right here. And then you just pull it down this way and put it through your first loop right here. Pull it through the loop and pull. And that's a bowline knot. Now, there is the term that people use. It's a little rhyme to remember how to tie the bowline knot properly. So the rabbit comes out of the hole, around the tree, and back into the hole. It's an easy way to remember it. It's pretty simple. It's a little nursery rhyme just to quickly, easily remember how to tie the bowline knot in case you forget. So I'll just go over one more time how to properly tie the bowline knot. And like that, it's untied. Again, it's very easy to untie. So I'll pull the end out. This time I'll just make the knot loop at the bottom a little bit smaller, just so you can see the different size you can make it. So I'll pull it up like this so you can see the loop. So again, make sure it's going over and then under for the left side of the rope. So the rabbit comes out of the hole. It goes around the tree. And it goes back into the hole. And you pull. And like that, you have a bowline knot. So the next knot I'm going to show you guys how to tie is the 2 half hitches. Another name for it is also the double half hitch. So the 2 half hitches is primarily known as a binding knot. So as you can see here, I'm going to simulate this as a pole. You can use it to tie the rope to a pole, or it's, again, like the bowline used to tie down a dying fly, and similar stuff like that. The Greeks would have used it to tie up their boats to a dock. It's the 2 half hitches able to make a loop similar to the bowline. You can throw that around one of the posts at the dock and they could attach their boats to it so they don't float away. So like before, I'll just quickly tie the knot just so you guys can see what I'm doing, and then I'll just go over how to properly, step by step, tie the knot. And like that is the 2 half hitches. So the way you'll know that you've tied the 2 half hitches properly is if you look here, you're able to take the knot and slide it back and forth along the rope. If it doesn't slide, you know you've tied the 2 half hitches incorrectly. So I'll just go ahead and quickly untie the knot. So I have my wooden pole right here. I take the end of the rope, put it around the pole, and just pull it along like that so I have enough rope to actually tie the knot itself. You're going to take the end, flip it over the main part of the rope, put it through the loop. It has to go underneath the top part of the rope, but then it goes through, making a loop. You take this around, You fold it so it's going over the original rope. And then with the loop you just created right here, you take the end, fold it under, and pull it through. So that's what it should look like once you get to this step. When I started learning the 2/2 hitches, I was told it sort of looks like Mickey Mouse ears. In a weird way it does. So it's a little bit hard to pull tight, but you'll get it eventually. It takes a little finagling. So just pull it tight. You might have to hold it down. And that's 2/2 hitches. So again, you can see it slides along the rope. So I'll just show you guys how to tie it one more time, and we'll move on to our last knot. So again, I have my wooden pole. Take the end of the rope. It goes around and behind the pole. Take the end, put it over, and it goes underneath and through this loop right here. Want to form another loop like this. Bring it around and over so it gets to here. You fold the end underneath like so. Pull it through so it looks like those Mickey Mouse ears. And then just pull it tight. And you have yourself 2/2 hitches. So the last knot I'm going to show you guys how to tie is a taut line hitch. So in its name it says taut, which is basically what the knot is used for. It's used to keep itself taut, whether you're tying it to a tent stake or a wooden pole. It's used to cinch the rope very tightly and to hold whatever it's being tied to tight and sturdy and secure. So like before, I'll show you guys how to tie the knot, then I'll just go over step by step how to properly tie it. Once again, I will use this small wand as a wooden pole, just demonstration purposes. And just when tying knots in general, just make sure to give yourself a lot of slack on the rope, just so you can have enough rope to actually tie the knot you're trying to tie. And it's a little bit hard to tighten, but this is the taut line hitch. You might have some issues tightening it. It's a very difficult knot to get fully. You just want to make sure if you pull it in areas, make sure it's fully tight. So that is taut line hitch right here. So that's the front of what the knot would look like. And that's the back. So it's a little bit loose, but when tying the knots, if you had a fixed pole, it would be a lot tighter and easier to tie. So in similar to the 2/2 hitches, you're able to slide the taut line hitch back and forth. And this is just so you can make, like before I mentioned, it's to make sure the rope is tight and you can properly cinch down whatever you're trying to tie. So now I'll just go over how to tie the knot properly, so you guys have a better understanding on how to tie it. So you have your wooden pole. It could be up and down, or it could be side to side. Doesn't matter. It's the same way. You just rotate on how you're trying to tie the knot. So you bring the rope up behind the wooden pole. It goes over. And then you want to make it look like the letter Q. So you have the letter Q right there. You take the end. It goes around and behind to make a loop like that. And again, make sure you have enough slack in the rope so you can fully tie the knot. You're going to go over, behind again to make another loop. while keeping to make sure you have enough slack in the rope. So now you have 2 loops like that. Then you take the end, you go under the main rope right here. So it's a smaller cue. So after you go under it, you take the end, you go through this loop you created, and just pull. Again, it's going to be hard to tighten up the knot the first couple times you tie it, but you'll get there eventually. So just pull on the parts of the rope until you get it tight. It'll be tighter like that. Like I said, if you have a fixed pull, it'll be a lot tighter. And that's what the taut line hitch will look like. So I'll just go over it one more time with you guys so you have a better idea how to tie it. So tie your rope. Have your wooden pole. The rope goes around it. Make a letter Q going over the rope. Take it, go under and around to make 1 loop. Bring it back so you have another letter Q. Go under and around so you have 2 loops like that. You bring the end over this part of the rope right here. You take the end, you place it underneath the rope right here. Bring it around, fold it over, and put it through the loop. You pull it tight. You would have yourselves a taut line hitch. And that, guys, those are the 4 knots I taught you. The square knot, the bow line, the 2 half hitches, and the taut line hitch. So after you practice, you'll be able to get these knots down as best as possible. It's always good to practice so you can keep repeating them so you know how to do them properly. You can get better each time. So now I've showed you what not to do when tying these knots. You can go from learning all those knots. You'll start off with a square knot like this. You get yourself all the way to tying one of these. Well, thank you guys. Hope to see you guys again soon. Stay safe, stay healthy, and wash your hands. This is Scouty Steve. Talk to you guys later.